spiritual community, as we gather as a real spiritual family, extending consciousness this Sunday morning, August 2nd. We open our hearts, we open our minds, we open to the understanding, a great understanding of the movement of Spirit. I welcome you here this morning to Unity Spiritual Center of Portland. I'm Reverend Lisa Davis, Senior Minister here, and we are going to take this journey of looking at life and humanity and this world that we are co-creating, that we are a part of. We welcome you to Unity. I believe we're creating a sacred circle of consciousness this morning, all around the globe for all of us as we gather together. To our newcomers, we just want to let you know how happy we are that you're here, that you're with us, that you're a part. I welcome you to, I invite you to go to our website at unityofportland.org and just go down to contact us and fill in the information. We'd love to put you on our e-newsletter, and we welcome you here. Just relax, center, and be a part. I want to share with you a couple of things that are happening at Unity. What is Unity? I'll be doing that after the service. Just a short time of gathering. I'll be just answering questions, telling you a little bit about this Unity movement. Unity of Portland here, we're actually in our 95th year of being a spiritual center. The Unity Center started 95 years ago in about 2 months. So what a wonderful opportunity. That'll be 11:10. The Zoom link will be in your Facebook comments, and it's also in our e-newsletter. So we invite you to be with me for that. You know, we will also be adding to humanity in this intentional idea of equality, of every being included, as we make prayer flags this Wednesday at Unity of Portland in our big parking lot at 47th and Stark. We'll actually be coming together for those who would like to. Wednesday, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. We have materials to work with, or you can pick up a packet and take it home with you to work on these intentional prayer flags as we intentionally put in our vision for a world that works for all lives. These for supporting Black lives and the movement of Spirit that happens. And so please bring a chair to sit on if you plan on working at the church, any other supplies you'd like to request a packet, you can to be mailed to you. We'll be happy to do that. If you're more comfortable working at home, you can contact the church and they'll mail it to you. You can set a time to come in and pick it up. It's a great opportunity. If you'd like to receive our newsletter, sign up through the contact page on our website, the Contact Us, and we'd love to put you on there. And after the service, there's also Coffee and Connection. It's a wonderful opportunity to connect with people in this community. There's a Zoom link also on our Facebook page for that. And next week, you'll get to hear from Reverend Sydney. She will be sharing her wisdom, her great wisdom. The following week, on the 16th, Reverend Diane will be speaking. I'll be back again on the 23rd, and we are looking forward to celebrating this summer and an awakening that's happening across humanity. You know, it's time to come together, to center ourselves, to remember the truth of our being, and to move into a deeper knowing and awakening within ourselves as we center for this time of prayer and meditation. Taking a deep breath, centering ourselves. Whatever's happening in the outer is just fine. Whatever's happening in our worlds, it is what it is. It is fine. And I know as I turn within, I am blessed always. These arms of spirit hold me. The very energy of love surrounds me, moves within me as I continue to let go, to breathe, to anchor this knowing. I am blessed always. I breathe this knowing in. You are blessed always. And together we are blessed always. And with that breath, with that knowing, I rest in the silence of an awakening heart, in the silence. Again and again, I open with a willingness to expand my understanding, to allow the world view that I have to expand, to recognize that this one presence and one power, God, the infinite good, the very vibration of love that lives in and through and as all now, it lifts me, it loves me, it reminds me of the truth of my being, and I move forward. We move forward together. We rise, and so it is.
It always for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so came here for. She said, do all you can with what you have, and the time you have, in the place you are, do all you can. Do all you can with what you have, in the place you are. Do all you can, do all you can. This is the gift they give to us to share wherever we go. Be the change you wish to see in the world. Oh, now I understand what they wanted us to know. You got to do all you can with what you have, and the time you have, in the place you are. Do all you can. Do all you can with what you have, in the time you have, in the place you are. Do all you can. Do all you can. Uh-huh, 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 uh-huh. Uh-huh, 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 uh-huh.
Wow. Thank you, Reverend Sidney, Charlie. You bring a space of remembering to our hearts, to our being, to an opening and an awakening. Do all you can with what you have right where you are. I wonder if that isn't a message to each of us, to our hearts, to the soul making that we're involved in. This morning, as we gather on our 7th week of a 7-week series, How Then Shall We Live? I look at that and I think, wow, how many days have we been traveling this journey of awakening, where all of the rules shifted, so much of life shifted. And where is it that we are willing to go? How are we willing to awaken? Last week, we looked a lot at the idea of our worldview and spiral dynamics. And if you didn't listen to it, I'd invite you to do that. And if you didn't read through the e-newsletter you got that actually had the 13-page introduction to spiral dynamics, I'd invite you to do that at some point, to just take some time and look at it and say, what is my worldview today? This morning, we're going to talk about the gifts that we give to the world and the way that we serve. But what if one of the greatest gifts we ever give is an evolving worldview that takes in whatever's around us and allows it to not get smaller in us or not be filled with fear and pain and suffering and all of these small pieces, but instead, through the alchemy of our hearts and through this process we call soul making, it allows it to expand, to increase in size, in wisdom, in understanding. And yet here we thought it was just one of the difficulties or problems of life. I think in Unity, and all of you who have been in this new thought pattern, we've called it the opportunities, and it is. It's a gift of the universe to say, here, let me help you expand a world view. And what's so interesting is that expansion of a worldview always takes us to the places that scare us and says, let me help you expand. Let me help you. So in this last section, both what are my gifts and how do I serve? How do I expand my heart? I want to share with you, first of all, our in-home groups. And we'll be offering in-home groups again in September. And I would invite you to consider being a part of them because we're here to connect. We're here to remember the connection that we have. They're all virtual. So I shouldn't say in-home. They're in your home. They're Zoom groups. But the affirmation they're meeting with this week, I want you to hear it. With an open heart, I radiate love and service to the world. Attuned to divine wisdom, I know what is mine to do. I freely give of who I am in gratitude and joy. The many faces of spirit sing and shine through me. Creative life expresses in my service to humanity. You know, Wayne Muller says to name our gift is to also name our need. It's to name the place that we are to grow and to serve and to expand. We all know that we came with gifts to serve, or at least we've heard it. We may not have taken it into our heart. And right now, where we are in humanity, I believe we're asked to take it in and to allow it to move through us, but to change the worldview that we might have had about ourselves and about the rest of humanity. And when we do, when we expand to a larger worldview, then we allow our gifts to expand exponentially just simply by the way we see our world. And when that happens, life shifts for us. We move. Sharon Salzberg said, generosity's aim is twofold. We give freely to others, and we also give freely to ourselves. You can't give of yourself without giving to yourself, because our hearts are interdependent. They are creative, and they are expanding. And we also know that we are all connected on this life journey. Now, most of us would like to say, I'm only connected to them and them and them, and I don't know them, and I don't like them, and they aren't up to my standards. But that's not actually the path that we're on. We're on a path of creating a society, a humanity that finds a larger view and allows cooperation and curiosity to guide us and to move us. And so when we're willing to say, what's my gift and how do I expand my little place in the world, then we find a larger view of who we are and how we share and what we do. Mother Teresa said, there's a light in this world, a healing spirit more powerful than any darkness we may encounter. We sometimes lose sight of the light when there is suffering, too much pain. Then suddenly, the spirit will emerge through the lives of ordinary people who hear a call and answer in extraordinary ways. Within you, there's a light. And when there's pain, our tendency is to shut down. And that's not bad. But what if we had a way to transmute the pain and the not understanding and the places that shut us down, and to open up enough, because in the hearts of ordinary people, there will be an expansion. And that expansion allows us to meet life with compassion. Pema Chodron, in her book, Comfortable with Uncertainty, which is something I'm using a lot now because I know that one of the worldviews we're moving towards is comfortable with uncertainty. That's a worldview that we're working to take on. And I also found out the way we do it is to stop judging those around us. That's one of the first steps. When we say they're, and we might add the word stupid, or they don't know enough, or they don't know this, or they're not this. Instead, we might say, I wonder what this is from. I wonder why. Can you tell me more? We meet it with curiosity instead of judgment. But she says, the tenderness for life, which is called bodhicitta, awakens when we no longer shield ourselves from the vulnerability of our condition, from the basic fragility of existence. It awakens through kinship with the suffering of others. We train in these practices in order to become so open that we can take the pain of the world in, let it touch our hearts, and turn it into compassion. That's where we're going. That's the gift we can also give the world. We can know the truth of our being. And so one of my questions today is, how are you to serve humanity? What are the gifts that you bring? Now, you might have said, I bring this and this, and this is what I'm willing to do, and then you find an end to that path. And my invitation is to know it's not an end. It's an opportunity to find a larger picture, a larger worldview, a larger place from which we touch the universe. And how am I to serve the world? What do I add to this place in society, the society I live in, the global society we live in, and the society in this country? So my first question is, do you know your gifts? Do you actually know what they are? Are you willing to accept them? Are we willing to see that we have them? Now, some of us have gotten really clear. I know what my purpose is. I know where I'm going. And we're doing it. And some of us have said, I used to know. I thought I knew. It changed. What do I do? And so we're working on ourselves, often not believing we have a gift. And that's one of the first things that can happen, is our woundedness. Because I want to say some of these ideas, and Wayne Muller gives 4 reasons that we're not giving our gifts. And I add a 5th, which is we're judging others, which prevents us from giving a gift. But the first one he says is, our woundedness may keep us from believing that we have anything to give. Our woundedness may keep us from believing we have anything to give. Every one of us, if we are breathing, has something to give, to receive, to be a part of the interdependentness of life. Are we willing to allow that to expand us? One woman Wayne worked with said, one of my coping mechanisms in dealing with the abuse was I learned to shrink. I learned to almost make myself invisible. Has that ever happened to you? Maybe you don't feel worthy enough or smart enough or good enough. Are there people that you admire and respect, and yet you shrink and make yourself invisible in their presence? Every one of us has something to give. And part of what we're learning to do as a worldview is to say, how do we create a society where every being can share their gifts, where there are safe spaces created for all of us to say, I am a creation of spirit. I have come to touch humanity and to be a part of it. Several years ago, I was invited to a sale. And they said it was a secondhand sale, and it was happening in a living center. And I said, a secondhand sale? What do you mean? They're selling their old things? They said, oh, no. They're selling what they made, but they don't have jobs. And so it was I was like, okay, I hear that. And I went there. And what I saw was beauty at a level it touched my heart and has never left. I bought a table, and it still brings tears to my eyes, and it's been what I call our nature table, and all the girls, my daughter's gifts were placed on that, the things they made, the things they were most proud of, and it's still in my home today. But a gentleman, he was 95. It took him all year, and he said, I don't really have anything to share with the world anymore, but I just made this. And this wooden table is exquisite. The way it was made, the love with which it was carved, all of it. And to me, it represents the society we're moving into. A place where everyone has their gifts to share. They have a place where they're able to be a part of something larger. We all came with gifts to share. The evolution of consciousness invites us to join together in places where we can share and find something larger. We're meant to learn from each other. Wayne Muller says we shortchange ourselves when we believe we don't have something to give. We make ourselves smaller. And so as we make ourselves larger, what does that mean in today's world, in this humanity that we're living within? It means that we're a part of the giving and receiving, and yet we trust in the gift that we bring. The second reason that Wayne says we often don't give our gifts is that we're often afraid our gift won't be large enough or impressive enough. I'm not this, I'm not this. Every gift we bring is important. And it is, as we open to a larger society, give what you have, where you are, who you are, as you are. Open to a larger idea and begin giving that. The third way is we don't think we have enough for ourselves, so we can't give. I'm finding that we have more than we ever dreamed. We just created a society where more was always the answer, which meant enough was never on the table. We're a society designed to give and receive, to create an economy and a culture of giving and receiving, which means there's enough simply because we're enough and we find ways to give and to receive. David Steinold Rast, speaking about the necessary balance between giving and receiving, he said, life is give and take, not give or take. Spasmodic grasping is one thing. You know, this idea of I have to have it, I have to have it. But instead, it's a cycle. He said it's not the way we live. It's this giving and this receiving, this opening and this ability, who I am gives, and it's open to receiving. And we find another way. He said there is this intricate web of giving and receiving, and we are all an integral part of that web. He writes, we cannot live on the earth and not give. We cannot live and not receive. Sometimes we've been so involved in this idea of I'm not enough, so I don't have enough to give. And the new world view, it's overcoming this idea that I'm not enough and focusing instead on this I am a spiritual being living a human experience in a society that's awakening, in a world that's awakening, that knows who we are as something more. Buddhism teaches there's 3 types of giving, and you may think right now, what do I want to know about giving? It has nothing to do with me. I just want to invite you to recognize that your heart opens when we are a part of an exchange of energy. And the way that we can give, the energy that we give from and that we receive from, is part of what creates this world and this society that we're creating. And he said, Buddhism says there's 3 kinds of giving. Beggarly givers. They give after only a whole bunch of hesitation, and then the leftovers, the worst of what they have. And they're like, I don't have enough. I'm not enough. That's a general worldview. And we're being asked to overcome it into something larger. He said that Buddhism says then there's friendly givers. There are people who give what they themselves would use. They share what they have, and with less deliberation, more open-handedness. And then there's kingly givers, and these are the Buddhist terms, who offer the very best of what they have. They share spontaneously and in a moment without needing to deliberate. Wherever we go right now, humanity needs us to know that we are creations of the infinite quantum field, this one presence and one power, divine love, and that we see them as equal creations of that field. When we are able to give and receive our hello, how are you, with eyes that see the wholeness of humanity, we change. We change. The last way that Wayne says that we don't give our gift is that we don't know what our gift is. Barbara Marx Hubbard said, we have so many gifts, we don't even know how to narrow them down. What I was told is, take the step to give. And I remember starting in service at Unity Worldwide Ministries, sorting the newsletters that came in from every church. They were all in paper. They came in from every church into piles and filing them away. And at first I thought, what is this service? And then I was taught, service to humanity of any form, done in the form of prayer, is a sacred act. And I allowed it to become a sacred act, and it shifted who I was. Now, I want to talk a little bit this morning about this worldview and about these gifts and the way we serve. What if one of the major ways we serve humanity and the gift that we give to the world is eyes and a worldview that expand this lifetime, that open up? I was so blessed to see John Lewis's service on Friday. And if you haven't seen it, I invite you to go back and see it. And I was in tears, much of it, and opened again and again as I heard people talk of his life and his journey. And I recognized the vision that he was able to carry was one of giving a larger world view in the midst of the South. His seat was from Atlanta, Georgia. He came from a town where protests were unheard of, from a family that didn't do that. But he held a worldview that truly humanity could change and that every being was equal, that Black lives matter. And he held it when no one else did. And he never stopped. And when I looked at the three presidents who told their stories of him, Democratic and Republican, I realized he held a view of a humanity that wasn't divided by a political party, but instead was brought together on a higher view of our society in this country. They were brought together with a view that could see that oppression was not the avenue. Instead, inclusion was where we go. And as he did that, gradually, and God bless us all, we are learning in ways. I look at him and I thought, what did it take to work all the decades he worked and wonder, where is this going, and still say, I believe in a humanity that all people are equal, that all of us can work together. And so the letter that he wrote, and I want to just first of all, he wrote, on the day of his service, I'm sure many of you have seen in the New York Times, he had a letter published for all of us, just in case we missed his service. He wanted to be sure that we got his letter. And he quoted Martin Luther King, and he said, he talked about going to the Black Lives Matter Plaza the day before he went into the hospital. He knew where he was going. He knew what was happening. He knew what he had. But he said, I wanted to feel it. And this is where Black Lives Matter was painted on the streets in front of the Capitol. I wanted to feel it. I wanted to breathe it in. He wanted to fill his being with an idea larger than was held there before. And he quoted Dr. Martin Luther King, and he said, and then he went on, he said, though I may not be here with you, I urge you to answer the highest calling of your heart and stand up for what you truly believe. In my life, I have done all I can to demonstrate the way of peace, the way of love, and nonviolence is the more excellent way. Now it is your turn to let freedom ring. When historians pick up their pens to write the story of the 21st century, let them say that it was your generation who laid down the heavy burdens of hate at last, and that peace finally triumphed over violence, aggression, and war. So I say to you, walk with the wind, brothers and sisters, and let the spirit of peace and the power of everlasting love be your guide. What if we opened our worldview to include everyone in this country in a view that humanity can support humanity in a deeper understanding. We stand in that, and then we join together to build something larger. At one point, John Lewis said, anchor the eternity of love in your own soul and embed this planet with goodness. Lean toward the whispers of your own heart. Discover the universal truth and follow its dictates. Release the need to hate, to harbor division, and the enticement of revenge. Release all bitterness. Hold only love, only peace in your heart, knowing that the battle of good to overcome evil is already won. We are a part of that movement. And our gift to the planet is knowing a larger way and a larger awakening. And so this week, I've been working for myself on, so what is this awakening we're moving into? And you may have heard in the spiral dynamics that we talked about last week that we are moving into what's called the green meme. And it's a worldview with a value that's very different than competition. And I'm in this individualized being that gets to do whatever it wants. And it's a way of connecting. It's actually a movement of connection and of cooperating with each other to form larger groups, larger ways of opening to humanity. And the core values, I want to read them to you because when I read them, I didn't even know what the first two meant. The core values, there's three of them: relativistic, sociocentric, and equality. And I went, oh boy, I have some learning to do. I saw this statement, and this came from the Netherlands on the site for Spiral Dynamics. Traditionalists may howl, but in today's world, cultural relativism rules. And this cultural relativism is the idea that a person's beliefs, values, and practices should be understood based on that person's culture. We have to understand it a larger way. We may have said, that's stupid, that's not needed, they don't need that. And we didn't understand the culture that they grew up in. So we made laws from our culture, not understanding that there are different ways of life and living. The Jim Crow's laws, many of them were based on keeping one culture and one way. And it refers to not judging a culture by our own standards of what's right or wrong, strange or normal. So instead of thinking fried crickets are disgusting, one should instead ask, why do some cultures eat fried crickets? And I remember watching at a birthday party in my daughter's third grade class where they arrived, and every student had 10 fried bugs. And that was part of the challenge, was to eat some of them. And most of them came away saying, that was crunchy. That wasn't bad at all. Now they were food grade ones, and they had been specially brought in for that. We live in a world that said no to that because it was different than what we knew. And there's societies that have done that for centuries. My question is, what would happen if we got curious? We live in a society right now that often says no to dreadlocks because that's what somebody said, that's different, I don't like it. But the truth is that doesn't serve our society. So an awakening requires that we have relativism, that we say, that's beautiful. They do this because of this. When we look at the Muslim tradition, are we willing to open enough to find out what the practices are? And as I do that more and more, they are based in sacredness and beauty and life and just such a sacred movement. Are we willing to open to something more? Are we willing? Then sociocentric. So that's just one. Can I stop judging and start asking, I wonder why that person does this? And that's people who have the same religion as us, but they may live in a different neighborhood. They may not understand we may not understand why they do what they do. But we could find out why, and we would be enriched. We would find something more. One of the problems is that in a relativistic society, We say we do school systems based on the income of the area. Now, we might find in other places of the world, they do it based on the whole. And so we have school systems like the one that my daughter is a part of, where when I meet with them, they say, well, we'll never have these things because we're the lowest income school district in this area. So all of our teachers are gone before they even get settled here because they get paid more somewhere else. We don't have these computers. We don't have these things. We don't have this. So we've built a society that says this is wrong instead of asking, I wonder what we could do. If you haven't watched Zac Efron's show on Netflix of the wonders of the world, all of the things we are worried about, water supply, France has done an amazing job. Look at that and find the ways the world has expanded. The second one, sociocentric. You may think this has nothing to do with you. There's two ways of looking at this, egocentric and sociocentric. Egocentric says, I'm rugged individuality and I do what I want and nobody's going to tell me what to do. Sociocentric says, I am a part of society and I'm here to create a better society. What part do we play in that? Where are we in that? Because egocentric says, this is the only way it is. Sociocentric has me saying, I'm a white woman. I have to look at what that means in the United States. What's my history? If I can't relate myself as a white woman, then I can't be a part of healing what white women have been a part of or what whites have been a part of. I can't be a part of the healing of that because I don't locate myself in that group. So my movement is in saying I'm a part of a world that has an ability to create a society that supports every being, that allows the beings of the world to be expanded and supported and movement happen. And so we have an opportunity to do that. So the question I think we get to ask ourselves this week as we move into our week is, what gifts do I have? What did I come to give? How do I serve an awakening world? How do I find the center of who I am? How do I live for these ideas of understanding other cultures, other ways of life, of knowing that I'm a part of a society and that my family is a part and that we can join with other families, not in competition, but in cooperation to bring out the best in all of us. And in the worldview of equality. Equality for every living, breathing being allows us to open to a higher picture, to a higher understanding. Equality reminds us that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, creating a society that allows gatherings, that allows connecting, that supports the remembering that every being, whether they live in an assisted living center, or they live in a foster home, or they live in this part of town or that part of town, all of us together create society. And who we are is so much more than we have ever dreamed if we say yes to this movement of spirit within us. Thank you.
Everywhere I look, oh, I see the face of God. Everywhere I look, oh, I see the face of God. Everywhere I look, I see see the face of God, face of God, face of God. I see the face of God. Everywhere I look, I see the face of God. Everywhere I look, I see the face of God. Everywhere I look, I see the face of God. The face of God. I see the face of God. Oh, 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 I know that everywhere I go, I'm gonna dance in the light. Oh, everywhere I go, I'm dancing in the light. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna be dancing in the light. I'm in the light, yeah, I know I'm in the light. I'm in the light, and I know every breath I take, I breathe the life of God. Do you know that every breath you take, you breathe the life of God? Every breath, I breathe the life of God. The life of God, the life of God. I have the life of God. I live the life of God, life of God. I am the life of God. I'm in the light. I know that I'm in the light. Yeah, I'm in the light there. And everywhere I look, I look, I look. I know I see the life of God. I see the face of God. You know I see the face of God. You wear the face of God. You are the face of God.
Thank you, thank you. Everywhere I go, I see the face of God, and I am so grateful to these beautiful beings here who are doing the live streaming, Andy and Mark and Leah Rose on sound, and Diana working with so many of the logistics also, and Reverend Sidney and Charlie, and this whole intention setting of love, of life, of the pure potentiality of spirit that exists in each of us individually and collectively as a whole. As we look at what we give to the world, I'd invite you to say, what do I stand with right now? And find out where you can stand with that. If you don't know where, write up a description, send it here, and we'll find others who will stand with you as we create in this community places where we stand for a larger worldview, for an equality and a coming together. That's so much more, because this one presence and one power that moves through us, that is the basis for what we believe in, this idea of the divine, the Christ within every being, expands us in a way that reminds us of who we are and what we are, and that we all came to be this creation of the new earth, this new heaven and this new earth. As we receive our tithes and our love offerings, I invite you to be a part of our intentional giving, of our ongoing giving. It makes such a difference in this community. I am grateful for all of the gifts that are given here on a regular basis. It allows us to do what we do, and our intention is to be able to continue doing that and to be able to expand this message and these ideas, these spiritual ideas and practices and principles that we get to work with. So you can text to 77977, Unity of Portland, all one word, lowercase. You can do it on a one-time basis. You can do it on an ongoing basis. You can go to our website, unityofportland.org, and sign up there to give. But we just invite you to become a part of a larger awakening as we hold our gifts in our hands, as we hold the knowing that we are in an awakening world, and that the divine love of the universe that is anchored in us, that lives as us, that desires to expand in us, does so now. Because all that we are, all that we have, all that moves through us in this consciousness is an expansion, and it moves us. We are a part of the cycle of humanity, and together we walk each other home. And so it is. Amen. We thank you. We thank you for being a part of that giving. In a few minutes, we're going to have our coffee and connection. Please join them. They'll be on, there's a Zoom link for that. Or if you'd like to join me at 11:10 for our What is Unity, please do so. I'll stay as long as I need to answer questions, but it's a relatively short little presentation that I do and then open it up. And I just invite you to experience a week of an awakening. If you'd like to join us Wednesday night at 6:30, please, in the large parking lot, please do so. If you'd like to get a packet to make prayer flags or make them in your home, you'll get an email that talks about that. So I just invite you to be a part of this awakening humanity as we hold that space in our heart that expands this day. I'm going to close with our prayer, this unity prayer. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Okay, let me start over again. I don't think I'm exactly doing that right. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And so it is.